And we are live. Hey, everybody, check out our new title card. But also, welcome to Bill Has Opinions. I am, of course, Laura, and this is Bill, who has opinions, and we are the most Gen X show you're listening to right now. So welcome to the show once again. We appreciate all of our viewers. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing pretty swimmingly, personally. You know, I mean, the world is crap. And I'm kind of done with people, but me personally, I'm doing all right. You know? So,
well, good.
It's kind of a
good.
Position.
I am glad to hear it. Yeah, no, the world is on fire, but you know, I can't personally complain. There's nothing totally crazy going on here.
All my needs are met, so I'm like, I don't know.
So tell me, what are you drinking? Since we always bring beers to the table.
Okay, so I'm drinking several things today because I couldn't seem to pour a complete decent beer. The keg lines are a little over pressured, so everything was foamy, and I just kept pouring beers. Also, there was a huge selection of really good stuff. So here's what I got: a Ginger's Revenge lime agave. It's an alcoholic ginger ale, ginger beer, whatever you want to call it. I'm guessing because most of the time alcoholic ginger beers, they're like, you don't even realize there's alcohol in them. You just kind of like kick them back, and then they hit you later because it's got like sugar too, and the sugar and the alcohol kind of like make it go straight to your brain. So I'll probably be a little loopy pretty quickly. I've got the better part of a Belzoberon, and then to follow that up, I've got the better part of Bramari Good Fight, which is a sort of a sour. Yeah, so here we go. That's what I'm drinking today.
That is a good selection of beverages for sure. And as people will quickly learn, anybody who didn't already see, it will fit our theme in a sort of strange way. Because I am drinking a Left Hand Brewing milk stout, a nitro milk stout. And then I have on deck, way over here, might I put it all the way over there? A watermelon dragon fruit burst, which I've actually had on the show before, but these were the two best beers I had to fit the theme. And so that said, what is our theme today, Bill?
It's breakfast.
This is one that people have been actually begging for, I guess.
The most important meal of the day, folks.
And I know that people who are fans of the show or fans of Bill in general know that breakfast is a very hot topic. So people have been waiting a long time to hear this one.
I meant to look up some Ron Swanson quotes about breakfast before the show, and I forgot to. But
well, I do know that I remember "This is the food my food eats," and that's what I remember.
He definitely got some opinions about breakfast, like it's his favorite meal, and I happen to agree. It's my favorite meal too. There's so many good breakfast foods that it's honestly my favorite meal, and I don't get a proper breakfast except on Saturday and Sundays. You know, like a real sit down, 4,000 calorie breakfast.
4,000 calories. Wow. Well, to kick it all off, Bill, what I want to know, where I want to start all this with is, what is your perfect breakfast? What would be the most ideal breakfast you could ever eat?
Oh man, it's hard to say, but I'll say it always has some combination of the 5 food groups. It's got meat, it's got carbs, it's got eggs, it's got gravy, it's got hot sauce. Got 5 things and a cup of coffee, you know.
Yes, eggs and hot sauce are in fact food groups. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, I like to mix it up in a way, but it's always got those things. It's kind of like, you know, when you go to Taco Bell and everything's like the same 5 ingredients in a different order. You know, that's how breakfast works for me. It's always going to be those kinds of things thrown together in different fashions with different garnishes or whatever. But that being said, I want to say this is funny because so when I was younger, when I was a young kid, I had an aversion to eggs. Actually, my mother told me I was allergic to them when I was young. I think what happened, and with kids, you never know what's going on. Like they can be broke out hives, and you try to like guess what they broke out hives about, and it was probably something unrelated to eggs. But she decided I was allergic to eggs, and she told me that I was allergic to eggs for years. She didn't give me eggs until I was about 5. She never gave me eggs again, and then by then, I just thought they stunk, right? Like somebody would cook eggs, and I'd be like, "Ugh, that smell awful," and they'd be like, "You want some eggs?" And I'm like, "I don't want that." And I'll be like, I'm allergic, and it gave me a perfect out, right? Like I'm allergic to eggs, right. I don't have to eat them. Right. I didn't eat them for years and years and years. I mean, but I knew after a while that I was not allergic to them because they're in cake and French toast and stuff that I did eat, and I'd be like, I just don't like. So I just didn't like the taste of eggs then, and it took me a long time to get over that. And eventually, what happened? I guess it was around college or so. When you're college and you're broke all the time, and you learn to eat ramen and all that. Anyway, the economy of eggs, like they're so cheap, but like if you eat an egg, you are not hungry for like most of the day, right? Like they really kind of like have this like stick to it kind of thing where you eat an egg and you're good for a while. And so the economy of the egg eventually won me over. And for a long time, I could eat eggs provided they were hid. Like I would just eat omelets or frittatas. Like as long as you hid them under crap, I could eat them. And also I'd put gratuitous amounts of hot sauce on them. And don't get me wrong, I still like loads of hot sauce on my egg. But I've gotten to the point now where my eggs can be a little bit runny and they could be a little bit naked and I can still eat them. Like I've kind of learned to like them. Although I hate the white. I've learned that it was the white that was off-putting to me. I like the yolk. The yolk is the tasty part, and the white is the but I guess it's probably the filling part. I don't know. Anyway.
I love eggs. I think are the perfect food. I think they're literally the perfect food because you can do anything with them. You can make them, you can put them in things that you don't even know are there. Like you can make cookies and cakes and things with them, of course. But then also as in a single ingredient, you can do more with an egg than I think you can do with any other kind of ingredient.
Yeah, and they cook quickly. They're crazy easy to cook. I mean, what does it take? Like less than a minute to cook an egg, honestly? I mean,
unless you want it to take longer, in which you could.
Yeah, I mean, you can cook it all day if you want it really chewy or something.
Well, because if you're looking like I like soft-boiled eggs, which you give it like that 7 minutes in the water, and then you got a perfect soft-boiled egg. I like hard-boiled eggs. I like poached eggs. I could Forrest Gump this whole thing because every possible version of how to make an egg I like.
Egg salad.
Eggs Benedict. Exactly. Oh, Eggs Benedict. Now talk about perfect breakfast. Eggs Benedict and various forms of Eggs Benedict. Like you put any sort of combination of things with sauce, like a hollandaise, but it doesn't have to be in a hollandaise, and you call it some sort of Benedict, I will eat that.
Huh. I actually don't like Eggs Benedict. So this was, you were, what is my perfect breakfast? Well, the opposite is something that includes like asparagus. Like, no, not at breakfast. I don't want it. I don't want asparagus on a plate at breakfast time, and I don't like spinach. Is the only spinach and onions and some green peppers maybe are okay at breakfast, but even then in minor amounts, right? Like, but I don't want tons of it. They can be in an omelet. Spinach you don't even taste, so that's fine. Like spinach is unobtrusive. That's whatever. But I don't care for. But yeah, if you make a frittata, I'm very particular. Like, don't give me a broccoli frittata or a asparagus frittata. I'll take that away. I don't care for it. Put some meat in. You got one of these with chorizo? I'll have that.
Well, the beautiful part is that you can make an egg to do any of that. You can put the egg in any of those things.
Right.
Any of those things. So
Yeah.
I know that you have a very specific, and we've covered a little already, but a very specific very specific breakfast philosophy. You have sort of the way breakfast is supposed to be. I know because you have actually been in my own house preparing breakfast for yourself, telling me about your breakfast philosophy. So I think you need to share that with our viewers.
I'm trying to remember now what I do know I'm very particular about when breakfast is. It's got to be within the first hour of waking up. There's none of this. I don't brunch. I hate brunch. It's dumb. Like just wait until lunchtime and eat then if you got up that late. But for me, like, and this has been a case because I've gone to brunch with you guys before. And so in order for me to brunch with someone, I have to have already had breakfast because I wake up when I wake up, which is, I mean, even on the weekends, it's around 7 o'clock. Like, I'm not going to sit there until 11 waiting on food. It's dumb. You know, like I'll be starving. So, yeah, I gotta get up and cook. So I have to have breakfast first thing in the morning, and it has to be breakfast. And I don't care for also brunch. Brunch has a weird menu. Like brunch is not really breakfast. It's weird shit. It is like the frittata is the most breakfasty thing on a lunch menu. Most of the shit is not proper breakfast food. It's like, hey, can we bring you this fruit bowl and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, get that shit away from me. Where, now some places once in a while will have something nice like a huevos rancheros or something like that. That's a proper breakfast meal. Okay. But again, after you've already made me wait until 11 o'clock to eat my breakfast, it better be something I want to eat,
And I believe that there is also a required protein component to your.
It's got to have, absolutely. There's got to be meat. Oh, because my wife likes to go. My wife will go to like bakeries for breakfast. Like let's go get we'll go get a Danish, and I'm like, that's not that's that's dessert. That's dessert in the morning. Is all it is, No, absolutely. There has to be a protein component. It has to have eggs or meat or both, ideally, to make me feel like I had a proper breakfast. So yeah, like if I go to a bakery where they're usually, thankfully, most bakeries humor me a little bit, and they at least have like a croissant sandwich with like some sausage or bacon on it, right?
Right.
And that suffices. It's not. Is it my ideal? No, but at least there's protein there, and I'll suffer through this, so you can eat a Danish for breakfast today. But anyway, that's my that's my thing. It's got to be before 9 o'clock, and it's got to have protein.
Yes. And specifically, I recall because we bought you on purpose because we knew you had very specific brunch or breakfast requirements. The Hormel breakfast hash, which for people who have never had it, it comes in a dog food can, and it really kind of smells like dog food.
My wife always says it's dog. Like she's like, oh, he's cooking dog food again. I love as an aside now. I love nitrates. I mostly eat healthy stuff, but that's the one thing like where I'm just like fuck it all. I'll eat this if I want to eat it. Canned meats with tons of salt. I love that shit. And that like sausages. Like Vienna sausages, not for breakfast, but I like those too. But deviled ham, corned beef hash.
Anything made by Hormel. Like you really like the whole Hormel product line.
Exactly. Yeah, the Spam, it's all delicious. Anything that they put in a can can do no wrong. But I do love the corned beef hash was one of the things I grew up on. My mom, when I was growing up, my mom was a single mother and a working mother, and therefore she did not do a lot of cooking. We basically had a lot of prepared foods, and that afforded me some interesting opportunities on one hand in developing my taste buds, because if Stouffer's made it, I had it. And so unlike a lot of Southerners, I actually had a lot of dishes that Southerners traditionally don't grow up eating but I had them because they were something that Stouffer's put in a box and sold at the local grocery store. And one of the things is the ever popular shit on a shingle or cream chip beef over toast. I love the hell out of that. However, I will
Oh,
say that I don't love it like I used to, and the reason I don't is because they took all the salt out. Like sometime in the last 15 years, everybody got health conscious, and they were like, "Oh, we shouldn't have all the sodium in the box foods." And I'm okay if they wanted to make a low sodium version, but they should have left me my salty as the briny deep version that I remember because it pisses me off. I can't get it salty enough, you know?
if I remember correctly, it was pretty much just straight salts. It was like straight salts, creamy gravy, and salty beef. Like I,
It's
I had that as a kid. I could never eat it again.
it's yes, it's salt held together with gravy poured over toast.
It's exactly what it is. Completely what it is. All right,
It's
so
salt.
with breakfast, of course, we've already spoken about eggs, about the wonderful value of eggs and all the many ways you can make eggs. So that brings us to our station break.
Oh yeah.
We want to mention a company in Asheville. We don't actually know what they're doing right now because they're probably not doing tours.
I asked Jimmy this morning. Actually, they're on hiatus right now because of the current climate. But I still want to give them a shout out. If anybody's ever in the Asheville area when coronavirus is not a thing, the Asheville Lit Tour is a great way to learn about the town. I mean, aside from last week's episode we did about architecture, the two greatest things about Asheville really, the architecture and then its literary history. Yeah, Thomas Wolfe was from Asheville, and there's a lot of he plays heavily into this tour, but also F. Scott Fitzgerald. And by the way, Jimmy is probably North Carolina's leading F. Scott Fitzgerald scholar,
and Thomas Wolfe scholar, and Zelda Fitzgerald scholar. So yes, the tours are run by Jimmy McKenzie and Sarah Giavidoni, who are of course friends of ours, which is why we're pimping their stuff. Tours are fantastic, so when they are available again, definitely check them out. The reason we had to mention them in relation to eggs is because our friend Jimmy, like you said that you didn't used to like eggs. Jimmy, as an adult person, still doesn't like eggs and doesn't like them with a repulsion.
Right, like he thinks they're the nastiest thing on earth. Like he doesn't even like the idea of it. He doesn't want to hear about them. Sometimes you can just be telling him about a meal you have with eggs in it, and he'll just be like, "Ugh."
Absolutely.
But that being said, the guy gives a good literary tour. So if you want to learn about literature in Asheville when you're in town, and it's not right now, look up the Asheville Literary Tour.
Just don't ask Jimmy to recommend a good egg place. That's the only thing. That's literally our only negative review.
I'll go ahead and tell you it's the Over Easy Cafe. That's
I think that's also a plug, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it is. But yeah, it's a good place to get eggs. That's my favorite place to get eggs in town.
Oh, look at Sarah's listening. Yay, Sarah's listening. You are welcome, Sarah. We hope that when everything is all over with and people can go on tours, that they all book an Asheville Lit tour.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, all right. So we are skipping right into what would normally be our mailbag section because, as we said, people were waiting for this one because you have such strong opinions on breakfast. We got so many questions about breakfast. And I can see somebody's already asked one of them again in chat. We are going to talk about it. We will get there for sure. So, but they're like, we need to know the answer to this right now.
Okay.
All right. Emily from your house wants to know how you feel about melon or sides of fruit in general.
Oh my God. First off, I kind of mentioned that like I hate brunch. One of the reasons I hate brunch is because they think that a little bowl full of fruit is a proper side item for brunch. And as I already said, breakfast is protein with a side of carbs
and hot sauce.
And hot sauce.
And eggs.
And eggs and gravy. Yes, that's that. I know nowhere in that did I mention fruit because I don't want any. You may put a slice of orange on the corner of my plate, and I will eat it. But that is not part of the meal. That is a garnish.
It's an edible garnish, but it is a garnish.
So the fruit bowl in itself, I don't care for. But what's worse is a fruit bowl that is mostly melons, which are the biggest throwaway fruit on earth. Like, we've dabbled on this a couple times. I don't care for the watery fruits and vegetables. Cucumbers, tomatoes, melons, they can all go to hell. I don't care for them. However, I will say this about the tomatoes and the cucumbers is you can make them edible by pickling them or processing them in some way. Tomato sauce, salsa, those are edible things. Pickles are nice, but melons, there's not a damn thing you can do with a melon. They're awful. They stay awful. I don't like anything melon related. Okay, you can pickle the rind and I'll eat that, but that's because that's not the watery bit. That's the crunchy bit. The middle of it, you can just scoop it out and throw it away. So actually, I'll tell you this: a couple years back, it's been a while, but one year, somebody one summer gave me a watermelon, like a whole watermelon, and I was like, thanks, I guess. Yeah. And I took it home and I looked at it for a couple of days, and I was like, what am I gonna do with this damn watermelon? I cut it up and I scooped all the red out and tossed that in the backyard, and then I cut up the rind and I pickled it. And I made myself like 70 jars of pickled watermelon rind, but I threw all the guts out because I don't care for that. It's nasty. And as bad as watermelon is, cantaloupe is 10 times worse. It's god awful. I mean, like I couldn't even try to choke that down. I'd be worse than Jimmy and Eggs trying to eat a cantaloupe. And then honeydew is kind of in between. Like it's almost as awful as cantaloupe, but not quite. Like, but it's sort of It's the mediocre middle brother of the melons. They're all terrible though.
See, it's funny because I agree with you on some of these items. I don't like most wet foods. I don't like raw tomatoes, plain tomatoes. They taste unfinished to me. And cucumbers, I can eat, but I don't really love. But I can eat melon all day long. Like, I love melon. And in the right process, like you put that with some prosciutto. Oh, it's good stuff. I'll eat your melon. Just melon. I don't like the side of food.
If we ever find ourselves brunching again, I'll just pass my melon plate over to you.
Fair enough. I think Matt also eats melons, so we'd be happy to help you. All right, we have another question. Will from Spain, our international viewership is going up.
I thought you were going to say from space.
Will from space, maybe, but he's actually from Spain, or at least currently from Spain. But
living in Spain.
Do you prefer eggs over easy or over hard?
Over easy. I like the runny yolks. It's kind of grown on me over the years. I said I had an aversion to them, but then once I got to love them, let me tell you. So we were talking about the canned corned beef hash. One of the ways you can really dress up the can of corned beef hash is after you get that all super crispy and you dump that on your plate, you make yourself an over easy egg. You put it on top, and then you poke it with the fork, and then the yolk runs all in your hash, and it's that's good stuff.
Yes. No, I actually agree. I used to eat over hard eggs for the same reason, like because yolks were yucky, and then one day I realized that. But I'll do you one in the middle there. I prefer over medium because I want to make sure that the white is cooked.
Oh no,
I don't need a runny white. That's disgusting.
Oh, no, runny white is disgusting. I will actually choke on runny white sometimes. Once in a while, I'll like if I undercook something. Yeah, you get a little blob of runny white in there, and you're like, oh, yeah. That is disgusting. You're right.
All right. We'll have another.
I like over medium then, because I do try to make sure that my whites are cooked, but I try to leave my yolk runny. So there you go.
Yeah, I agree. That's the way to do it. I like to dip bread or the bagel or something in the yolk. That's
I actually don't eat. Emily's a big fan of what's it called, the chicken in a basket or something, where the hollowed out toast.
The egg in the hole, the like egg in the hole thing.
That one, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So you take the toast and you make the little hole and then you put the egg in that.
yeah. Or sometimes she probably just cooks a piece of toast and then busts her egg all over it.
Oh, I like to be more methodical about that. I like to have my toast separate from my egg, and then I choose when the yolk goes on the egg. I don't know why.
You dip them? Is that what you do? You put it on the side a little bit? Okay.
I'll eat all of the egg except for the yolk, and then break the yolk open, and then I can like put the yolk on the egg. It's a very, very exact process.
I got you. Okay.
Very exact process. All right, Will has another question for us. He's still from Spain, as far as I know. Do you prefer links or patties?
Patties. There's a lot more variety in patty. Links are, yeah, they seem to be mostly 90% of links you get. I mean, unless you go out of your way to get something made at a local place, most of it seems to be processed sausage. And I prefer, actually, I buy a local sausage that comes from somewhere outside of Spartanburg. It's called Snow Hill. And I like it because I look for a particular amount of spiciness in my sausage. I like sausage to be kind of on the hot side. Also, it doesn't have any MSG. Most of the mass-produced, like Jimmy Dean and that kind of stuff, has MSG in it, and so I don't love it. I will say this: my hometown that I'm from, Darlington, South Carolina, there's a local butcher, Thad Weinberg, and this is always funny to me because his last name's Weinberg, and I don't know if that's Jewish or just German, but it's spelled Weinberg, so it looks Jewish to me. But he makes some hella good pork sausage. Anyhow, Thad Weinberg's pork sausage, he makes links, and they're the amount of spicy I want them to be. Okay, so I will say that's the exception to my links rule. Is if it's Weinberg's, I will eat the link sausage. But if it's any mass-produced link sausage, like Johnstown or Smithfield or something like that, it's okay. I can eat them. Like if I go to a place and they say, "Oh, we only have links," I'm like, "Whatevs." You know, it's okay, but it's not patty good, you know.
So I do have another quick shout out to an actual brand, which is an Atlanta local company. But I don't know how far they distribute. But if they do, if you can get a hold of this, it is the best sausage I have ever eaten. And you're about to think I'm crazy when I'm going to say this, but it is Delia's Chicken Sausage. The chicken sausage place, yes, Delia's Chicken Sausage.
So we were actually, I used to work for a organic grocer chain that went belly up a while back, and we were actually looking into carrying that right before our demise. And
so good.
Yeah, somebody was telling me about it when we were looking into it, you know, like how good it was. And actually, last time I was at your house, I meant to say, hey, let's go check that chicken sausage place out. I've heard good things.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And you can buy it at Delia's Chicken Sausage, like at their facility, or a lot of restaurants will have it around town here. Yeah. Or you can buy it in the grocery store freezer section and cook it yourself. And they do links and patties. And I will say in that instance, there is no difference. They're both absolutely delicious.
Well, I mean,
they're not typical.
I will say generally, whoever makes links and patties, their link sausage is just the patty stuffed into a casing, so it's not any different. The difference is that there's a greater variety, as I said, of patty sausage, because a lot of people don't go through the trouble to squish it into casings. It's a lot easier just to sell patty sausage, which is essentially like a bulk ground meat, honestly. So you know what I mean? Like it just comes in a plastic tube.
Yeah. And if football or any other sports resume at some point and anyone finds themselves in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium downtown, they have their stand is staffed by the Delia's employees. So check that out someday when we have sports again.
football game.
All
What is
right,
it? The place?
it's the Falcons.
No, the other football.
Oh, the other football?
Yeah,
The soccer football?
yeah, the worldwide popular football. What is your team called?
Crap. Atlanta United, right?
United.
I think,
Oh, United, like Manchester. Okay.
I think so. I think so. I'm not actually sure though because I am an American football fan.
Oh, okay.
Red,
I thought
white,
it
and
was
blue.
Blaze or something like that.
I, I don't know. I have one more question. I have one more question from viewers. This one, I'm going to actually do a quick preamble because I know it's a joke and we joke around on the show. But I also want to preface before I say this that many of my best friends are vegans, and while I am not vegan, I support their right to be a vegan. That being said, Joel from I think maybe New York asks, "Is meat murder?"
If your name is Stephen Morrissey, it is. Otherwise, not to me, meat is breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, I eat meat. I happily eat meat, and I mean, I would also say, isn't it something to do with the Smiths and Morrissey? I think.
Yeah, that's why I said that first part. I said if your name is Stephen Morrissey, then yes, it is. But
Yes.
But
yes.
also, you're a Nazi, so whatever.
So I got myself a side of fruit, by the way.
Oh yeah, you got fruit. Throwaway fruit.
I do. It's watermelon. Totally. All right. And so I'm very pleased that people have all of these questions, but I also have a bunch for you. I've got, I guess, they don't have to be rapid fire because.
Okay.
So.
Well, it might be long answer.
Right. Well, we have time. We still have time. It's fine. And like many of our other subjects, I don't think we can cover this in just 1 hour because I'm pretty sure we could do a lot more.
I feel bad that I don't actually have a plate of breakfast food in front of me while we're talking about this.
I thought about that too.
I should have gone to the Cracker Barrel to do this episode.
That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. All right. Pancakes versus waffles.
I like waffles. They're crispy, and they taste like birthday cake that's been crispied. Caveat to that, though. Speaking of, I just threw out the Cracker Barrel's name, but the Cracker Barrel actually makes the best pancakes of any place I've had pancakes because they cook them in an iron skillet and they get a proper crisp on them that rivals a waffle almost. Not quite, but close.
I think waffles are very polite pancakes because they've got they hold your syrup for you. They're like, yes, let me put the syrup in little compartments for you.
Yeah. And the butter on it. You should put butter on it. And if this is one of the rapid fire questions, butter, not margarine. And I don't believe it's any of that nonsense. I do believe it's not butter, honestly, because it doesn't taste anything like it.
We do sometimes use replacement butter, and it's usually not like there is kind of a difference between the super plastic brands, the ones that are literally just plastic, like here's your bucket of plastic. But we use like an actual vegan butter sometimes, and it's not bad. It's actually pretty good. We did it because fewer calories, but then I recently started getting back into butter, so now I just use a lot of butter. Like,
if you're gonna substitute something, I would say if you're gonna substitute something, like if you're vegan, like avocado tastes a lot like butter. It's really fatty and it smears well and it's pretty delicious. Although I mean, it has the downside of you can't afford your mortgage, so there is that part.
Yeah, I understand that's true. I get that that's the reason why millennials have not been able to buy houses. So
right, they're eating all that avocado. If they
avocado, and in addition to avocado, you also have to purchase the toast. So that just adds up.
Yeah, you have to finance that toast, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why your credit's so hurt that you can't buy a mortgage. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Absolutely. All right, so we had the links versus patties question, but here's a more important question: sausage versus bacon.
Okay, you know what? loads of people. This is a funny thing. Like bacon has become almost like a meme nowadays. Like where like it's a sort of like macho. It's this modern macho meme. Like bacon's the end all be all of meat products or something. And honestly, I don't see it. If you give me the choice between bacon and sausage, my answer will always be sausage when it's between those two. Is bacon good? Yes, it's good. I mean, it's a pork product. Jesus Christ, they're all good, right? Anything that comes off the pig is delicious.
Pigs are delicious. They're very smart and they're very delicious.
Yeah, I'm sorry, pigs, for you shouldn't have been so smart and so delicious. See, octopuses, I gave up eating because they're so smart, but they're not delicious enough to warrant my still eating them.
Right. I can live without octopus.
But pork, I was like, I don't know. It's a pretty good. Like, there's several really good pieces of meat that come off of a pig. I will say this. So I don't hate bacon. All that what I just said. I mean, I just prefer sausage because I like sausage is spicy, ideally, and I like spicy. But what's better than bacon? A very similar cut of meat called the pork belly.
Oh yes.
That's become very popular as of late. You go to places nowadays, and they will have good places. I mean, we'll have some sort of a dish, usually a breakfast dish, even with a pork belly. I recommend it. That's some good stuff if you can get it. Pork belly is great. What else is good on the pig? Man, the pulled pork, which that's not really a breakfast. I guess you could get pulled pork at breakfast. I've probably been somewhere where I've had pulled pork breakfast.
Well, you kind of brunch because brunch is not always breakfast food. So
that's true. I probably had it at brunch. You're right. I probably had like a pulled pork burrito or something like that at brunch. Pork chop, which is good on a biscuit. Once in a while, Bojangles has a pork chop biscuit. Sometimes Hardee's has a pork chop biscuit, and only Hardee's for political reasons. But they had a good sandwich back when I used to eat there.
A good old-fashioned ham, just straight up ham.
Now, I want to say this. Oh, my God. So I'm weird about ham. Like, I don't like thick hams. Like, I don't like the whole shank ham. I don't like, like what I'm saying, like Easter Sunday ham, I don't care for. But I do like the breakfast ham, the steaks, the little thin sliced breakfast ham steaks that are super salty. Oh, my God. That's some good stuff. I'll eat that. And it's good on a biscuit, too. And when you go to Cracker Barrel, folks, which is one of the few places, by the way, I know I've mentioned it 3 times now, and I had boycott things for political reasons. And for some reason, I'm on the fence about Cracker Barrel because I know that politically they're kind of horrible sometimes. But if you know another place for me to get a 5,000-calorie breakfast, then you name it, okay? Because they got this thing called the Uncle Herschel's, and it's like 7 different kinds of meat, plus a whole plate of biscuits, plus gravy, plus grits, plus pancakes. I mean, you're not going to eat for a week after you eat the Uncle Herschel's, okay? Like they just roll you out of that place.
You're like Violet Beauregard in Willy Wonka.
Exactly.
In the Chocolate Factory.
I'm like the guy in that one Monty Python skit where they come by with the mint, and you're like, I couldn't possibly.
just wafer thin. Just wafer thin. Yeah, no. So I do have to say my favorite kind of bacon, and I have seen it in the US. I have actually bought it in the US, but it's cost a pretty penny. But I had in South Africa, and they call them rashers, but that's just what you call a thing of bacon. But like it was so thick cut, it was like a freaking steak of bacon, and it was the most amazing thing. And they cooked it on a little barbecue grill, and there was some sort of like topping sauce thing involved, and it was literally one of the best things I've ever eaten. So I have in the US, I have gone to a butcher and ordered like, as thick as you can cut it bacon. But when you do that, you pay, $24 for less than a half a pound of bacon. So don't do that. It's not a good idea. But it's so delicious.
Pork belly or fatback or something at that rate. Those are very close cuts of meat that are similar in flavor and texture.
But it's so when it's that thick, like you never get it to that like overcooked crispy, like the too burnt.
Gotcha.
It's always chewy and
I bought a
delicious.
slab of bacon one time that was uncut. One time in my life, and I put it on the grill. By the way, if you ever want to amp up a cut of meat, you want to see like what its real potential is, go throw it on the grill for a minute. Anything is improved this way. A entire slab of bacon on the grill. Oh my God, it will blow your mind. But secondly, a can of spam on the grill will make you stop your naysaying of spam. You're like, holy shit, what is this meat? Oh, it's spam? I had no idea. Those ham steaks that we were talking about earlier, the real thin cut breakfast ham steaks on the grill, twice as good. I haven't done sausage on the grill yet, but I should do it sometime just to see what the heck happens. I mean, not like real like breakfast sausage. I mean, obviously I've cooked bratwurst on the grill, but but like I've not thrown like sausage patties on the grill. I should try that.
Yeah, you should.
See what happens, because in general, like it's been my experience that anything I cook on the grill tends to be better when I get done with it. At least pig meat. I don't know about anything like chicken's not. Chicken usually is tough and chewy, but any kind of pork product is usually okay.
Yes. All right. Next one. This isn't really an either or. It's just what's your opinion on? How do you feel about cereal?
I like it. So I ate loads of it when I was a kid. I would go through, because I used to eat it as a snack when I was a kid. Like I get home from school in the afternoon, and you'd sit there and eat like I'd eat like a mixing bowl of it in front of the TV set.
Would you put milk on it then, or would you just eat it dry?
No, I eat with milk. This is a funny thing. So I'm weird this way. I like soggy cereal. So I pour my cereal and let it sit for a minute or two until it gets good. And Rice Krispies is my favorite cereal, but by the time I get to them, they're Rice Soggies. It's one of the cereals that gets soggy the quickest. It's funny they call them Rice Krispies because they don't stay crisp long. That one gets soggy quick. Cornflakes get soggy quick. I love both of those. I like Raisin Bran, actually, which a lot of people hate. I actually like raisins, which a lot of people hate.
I can't eat raisins. I cannot eat raisins.
Most people think they ruin everything, but I actually like them. The only sweet cereal I really like as an adult now, I still will eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch once in a while. But when I cook it, it's not Cinnamon Toast Crunch anymore. It's Cinnamon Toast Sog. Because I hate Captain Crunch, because Captain Crunch, true to its name, stays crunchy. It doesn't matter how long. You can let it sit there for a week, and all that'll happen is the milk will spoil. But the cereal is actually made. People don't know this. Here's a little known fact: Captain Crunch is actually made of pumice stone from Hawaii. Its express purpose is to exfoliate the roof of your mouth. So there's a little tidbit you didn't know.
Yeah. No, because I will say one of my favorite cereals is Cocoa Puffs, which similarly they don't ever get soggy. At no point is a Cocoa Puff soggy. But I do like after I'll get a box and I'll eat a couple bowls of it, and then like for a few days my mouth hurts because it's like sandpaper. And like I do it once every 5 years, and I'll get that box and I'll eat it, and I'm like, oh, this is delicious. And then 2 days in, I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right. So that being said, like I don't eat loads of cereal like anymore as an adult. I kind of have so when I was a child, I ate so much cereal and I drank loads of milk. Also, I would go through probably 5 gallons of milk a week, and I was the only person in the house drinking the milk. So I personally went through 5 gallons of milk a week. Now I've got my bones are like adamantium now. Okay. However, when I reached like my 21st birthday, I think my body was just like, okay, Haas, you've had enough milk forever. Like, and so now I'm a little bit lactose intolerant, and I don't drink milk anymore. Because I don't like milk and I don't like dry cereal, that means I don't eat a lot of cereal. I probably eat maybe like 3 or 4 bowls a year. Like sometimes I'll be, I'll be like, I'll see someone else in the house eating it or something. I'll go, that looks good. I'll have that, and then I'll suffer the consequences later or whatever. But that's it's not something I eat a lot of anymore. But I do like it. I just don't like it like I used to like it. So, and there's no protein. There's no protein. So
that's true.
If I eat it, I'm probably going to be hungry again in an hour and a half. Where when I eat eggs or meat or something for breakfast, then I'm good. Sometimes I'm good till about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So.
Fair enough. I will say I will eat dry cereal as a snack still as a 45-year-old woman. I will eat Cheerios. I will eat, cornflakes. I will eat them and I eat regular plain old Cheerios, which Matt gives me shit about all the time. He says it's like cardboard.
Yeah, a handful of dry Cheerios, actually, plain Cheerios or Honey Nut. I like either one of them. They are good as a snack. I do like, because well, in my house I've got grandkids, and so Cheerios are like a default like toddler snack or something. Like if you have toddlers in the house, you have Cheerios in the house. It's like a rule or something. But sometimes I will walk through and I'll see the box of Cheerios, and I'll just be like, I'm just a little bit hungry, and I'll just stick my hand in the box and get a handful of Cheerios. So yeah, that happens.
Yeah. No, and I will say I'm also still a fan of every Halloween I have to get my box of Monster cereal. And I'm a Count Chocula girl. Like I have to have the Monster cereal every year.
Yeah. I think that's chocolate. I'm definitely if I was getting Monster cereal, Count Chocula would be the one I'd go for. After that, Frankenberry. I wouldn't eat blueberry under any circumstances. I hate blueberries and blueberries and bowberries. I hate any kind of variation. Bowberry, for people who don't live in the South, is a Bojangles blueberry biscuit with icing on it. Bojangles being a local chicken biscuit joint that is a rival to Popeyes in this region.
Yes,
I got to throw this out there right now. So they did this last year for a limited time, and they're doing it again right now. But Bojangles has an add pimento cheese to any biscuit for 69 cents. Oh my God. It really kicks it up a notch. I gotta say, I've eaten. I haven't eaten at Bojangles a lot in the last 6 months, but when that came back, suddenly I'm eating loads of Bojangles. So if you can get it, folks, the Bojangles pimento cheese chicken biscuit. So it's a Cajun style chicken filet biscuit. Add pimento cheese to it, the caviar of the South, and oh man, so good. It's a delicious sandwich.
Nice. All right. Well, we talked. So I know you don't love or dessert for breakfast, I should say. Do you have any strong opinions on donuts?
I mean, I like donuts, but I don't like them. Like, I can't just eat donuts and coffee and say, "Ooh, that was breakfast." Like, because again, I'll be hungry in about 15, 20 minutes. I will say this is funny. So, a lot of people, I'm from the South, and so people think they assume that like the Duke's Hellman's thing, I'm going to have an opinion, which, as I said earlier, I don't, because mayonnaise is whipped up oil no matter what brand it is. And in the case of donuts, there is a difference between Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts, but
or like anything else.
But the thing is, I don't necessarily prefer. So I call Krispy Kreme as a dessert donut because they're mostly air. They're air with sugar on top. Okay, they will not fill you up under any. Like if you go to Krispy Kreme, I could eat the entire dozen at Krispy Kreme, and an hour later I will be hungry. Okay, because all I'm going to do is burn off that sugar, and then be like, well, now my stomach's growling. Whereas if I go with Dunkin' Donuts, I will say this, at least with the Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm talking specifically like a cake donut, which you can't get at Krispy Kreme.
Right.
My favorite donut at Dunkin' Donuts, and by the way, I actually prefer Dunkin' Donuts mostly because I say Dunkin' Donuts makes a breakfast donut, whereas Krispy Kreme makes a dessert donut. However, again, donuts are not my go-to breakfast ever. But if I'm going to eat a donut for breakfast, I would want it to be a Dunkin' Donuts sour cream donut. because it is moist and delicious, and just it's pretty creamy and all. But again, I bet you I'm going to eat lunch at 11 o'clock if I have donuts for breakfast.
Donuts is, well, you could have breakfast dessert. Like you could eat your whole breakfast and then like top it off with the donut.
Oh,
just
that totally, that happens. Like sometimes I'll go to work, and it hasn't happened at my current job, but like I've had jobs where you come to work and you know, I've eaten my biscuit or whatever thing I actually had for breakfast, you know, like my substantial breakfast. And then like at 9 o'clock, somebody sends out an email that says, hey, there's donuts in the break room. Yeah, I'll go eat a donut then. It's you know, it's breakfast. But if I eat actual donuts and call it breakfast, I'm going to be wanting for second breakfast or 11sies even.
right, or both.
Or both.
And I have to say, I do like donuts. And again, I can't just eat donuts for breakfast. I'm with you, although I will. Look, if that's the option, I will do it. But I shouldn't. And yes, I will be hungry much sooner. But I definitely am very particular. I will eat any kind of donut. Well, I'll eat mostly donuts with chocolate in them. I'm more of a chocolate fan than anything else. I prefer raised donuts. So like the Krispy Kreme style, but it doesn't have to be Krispy Kreme, to cake donuts. But that's not an absolute requirement. But I like raised donuts best.
Okay, like a yeast donut. You want like a local donuttery, like a mom and pop donut place, or like a deli donut.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are a tad more substantial than a Krispy Kreme.
Because Krispy Kreme are also really small comparatively. Like usually, if you get like a real bakery donut, it's going to be like.
Yeah, it's a little bigger, and it seems like it's a little heftier. Like I said, the Krispy Kreme ones are like 90% air. Like right. I don't know, they must put like 4 times the yeast to the flour consistency in their batter or something. So theirs are all risen. There's nothing. There's a shell that holds icing, is what it is, right? Like,
so by complete contrast, though, if given the option, if it's available to me, what I will pick every time is a French cruller. And that is literally just air. Like it's just air because it is empty inside. But I love that shit. It is so delicious.
Well, it looks like a tractor tire. So that's awesome in its own way, right?
I remember when I was a kid, we called them tractor wheels. I don't know if the bakery that we went to called them tractor wheels. Like there was a reason why we didn't refer to them by their real name.
Like damn tractor wheel. They just do.
They do. That is exactly what we call them. All right. Final topic, and I think this one's going to be a big one. What are your feelings on syrup?
Oh, so. I will say this is. Let me back up a little. My grandmother made. She made these weird pancakes when I was a kid. Her pancakes are the size of biscuits, but they're fried like a pancake. They're fried in oil, but they would be like this big around and about that thick. Okay, so like a fried
a Dutch baby kind of thing.
A what?
A Dutch baby.
I guess. I mean, she called them pancakes, but they were obviously different than everyone else on Earth's pancakes. Like they were fried biscuits to me, is what they look like, right? And my grandmother served those. She served them with clear corn syrup, like just the, yeah. And the first time I was over at her house for breakfast, I was like, "That's weird," but then I had them, and I was like, "Okay, this is delicious." But I was a child. I will say, so my wife. I guess when she was a toddler, her folks are artists, and they lived up in. They were doing some sort of like, what do you call that? When people go somewhere for academic reasons.
Oh, like a sabbatical?
There you go. They were doing a sabbatical or something in New Hampshire, and so she lived in New Hampshire for a couple of years when she was younger, and she picked up a liking to actual maple syrup during that time. In the South, most of the places you go have what's called table syrup, which is it's essentially the clear corn syrup I was just talking about, except for it's had like a maple flavoring added to it and a little bit of caramel color. So it looks like syrup, but it's bullshit. And if you have a discerning palate, you know it's not maple syrup. You like, that's corn syrup. Like, get that shit away from. Anyway, so she picked up a hankering for maple syrup when she was living in New Hampshire. And to this day, if we go to a place and sit down for breakfast, she asks before she orders the pancakes. The same way that I ask before I order the eggs, do you have hot sauce? You know, she says, do you have maple syrup? 90% of people lie to you and say, yes, we have maple syrup, because they think all brown syrup is maple syrup. Right. And then they bring it out after charging her 25 cents or whatever the hell for a little thing of it. They bring it out. She pours them on her pancakes and goes, God damn it, this is not maple syrup. We know the difference. Maple syrup is $7 a half gallon or something like that. It's ridiculously overpriced, but it's way than any other syrup. I will say that. The only thing that's remotely close is that agave syrup's okay, but it's still not as good as maple syrup, but it's better than corn syrup, let's say, right?
Oh yeah, corn syrup is going to be high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah. That being said, my grandmother, if she was to like reappear all of a sudden and cook me a plate of those fried biscuits with clear corn syrup, I would probably eat them.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, I think, Mike, many of our topics, we could probably go on forever about breakfast or various other things related to food. But alas, we are coming up on the end of our show.
Alas.
Alas, our 4 viewers are very, very sad about this. So we had up to 8 somewhere in the middle of the show. So thank you everybody for watching.
All 8 of you.
But we do have to tell you that we will be our show's going to be moved a day next week due to various commitments. We're going to be doing the show on Wednesday night instead of Tuesday, just 1 week only, or at least this 1 week only.
Who
knows about the future? Maybe we'll do it again on Wednesday. I don't know. But next week, Wednesday, and I'll be sure to let everybody know, I will be posting the social medias and all of that. So tune in, not Tuesday, but Wednesday. Maybe on Tuesday, I'll put up something weird instead, just for fun.
Yep.
All right. So that's it. That's our show. What's Bill's got things. Oh wait, we didn't do something things that are extra.
Things that are extra this week. Campaign finance emails. Come on, with the gloom and doom and the constant bombardment. I don't need that grief. I'll either send you $3 or I won't. And if I don't, 17 emails aren't going to change my mind. So get off it already. I'll send you the money when I get paid. Okay? There we go. That's all I got to say about that.
I think that's fair. I've been getting so many. I also apparently signed up for a Republican mailing list somewhere along the way, or a text list somewhere along the way, with the name Zaphod Beeblebrox. And I did this was probably before the last election. And all of a sudden, somebody must have bought that list, because I'm getting tons of texts. And they're great because it's like, hey, Zaphod, we really need your help.
Yeah. Well, you should Zaphod should at least do the surveys and blow their minds, what?
Absolutely. Well, I have 2 heads, so.
You didn't answer that leading question the way we intended.
Exactly. All right, so wait, we're at the end of the show. So we really are at the end of the show now. I was ahead of myself. We are. Okay, so
here we go. So Bill Has Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions that Bill expresses are the opinions of Bill and Bill alone. The opinions of Laura Lavoie are hers, unless we both nodded our heads in agreement, in which case then we share an opinion. And don't take that out on any of our unpaid sponsors here that we just gave a mad shout out to, because they didn't pay us. So there's no point getting mad at them about our stupid opinions.
They don't. They likely do not share any of our opinions. I can tell you that. It's very few of them. All right. As always, like, subscribe, and share. We want to spread the love, so tell your friends. and like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tune in next, not Tuesday, but Wednesday for an episode. I don't remember what the topic is, but we'll let you know before then.
We'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Y'all come back now.
Thanks, everybody.